Radio Zero.
It's Radio Zero with Rick and Rose for Friday, August 11th, 2 days before my mom's birthday. Happy birthday, Mom. She's not listening.
You can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Go to radiozero.us. We're live streaming on Facebook on the Radio Zero page and Poster Children page, on Twitch at PCJCUSA, and on the Poster Children YouTube channel. We usually do that every other Friday at 4 p.m. We'll see what happens. 4 p.m. Central. We'll see what happens as we go back to school, but it's possible that will continue to be a regular pattern. You can patronize us at patreon.com/radiozero. Thanks to everybody who has patronized us. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week. No, I'm just kidding. I'm asking for my an Excel spreadsheet consultant, but my Excel spreadsheet consultant is taking a online quiz or something for she just went back to Cornell and is taking an online quiz. So, that door is open. That's not good. Okay, so what do you want to talk about, Rick?
We can talk about our vacation.
We had a vacation, and it was an epic vacation. He's getting up to shut the door. Thank you. It was epic because it was in the desert. I realized how much I love the desert. And also it was epic because I kind of feel like we planned it like a week in advance. It was like, okay, let's just go to the desert.
I don't think that's true, actually. We talked about all the things we wanted to do. It was just how we were going to get there.
Yeah. Well,
So
okay.
Rather than spending 6 days driving to and from
the desert,
we flew.
It would have taken that long too. Yeah. That's thank goodness that you had. So I was like, I want to drive down Route 66 again. And Rick was like, well, do you really? And I was like, yeah, I love driving down Route 66. And then I listed all the things that I love in Route 66, which are in the Southwest. So, and then Rick had the brilliant idea, and then I was like, it's going to be 2 weeks. That'll be fun. And 2 weeks, coincidentally, is like the time that it takes for a band to break up on tour. Like, that's our historic...
Yeah, it would have been a shorter vacation if we drove, because the children would have murdered each other or us, or we would have all murdered each other in some sort of Quentin Tarantino, gunfight.
Yeah, because we brought our guns with. Happy Friday, Dannon. But so yeah, Rick had this brilliant idea of like every single time we buy anything, we use this one credit card, and it's a mileage card, right? And I've read one of those, one of those top 10 lists of things you shouldn't do, like on the internet that comes up, like top 10 scams. One of them is
don't talk about your credit cards.
That too, but don't ever use a mileage card ever. Because it's a terrible scam, and it's not, because we've gotten tons and tons of like miles and stuff. So we freely flew to Las Vegas, right? That was awesome, and it was like 112 degrees in Las Vegas.
It wasn't when we got there.
Yeah, I know, it was really cold.
Yeah, it was 80.
Yeah.
Which it was unbearably hot.
No, it wasn't.
Everyone was saying, you got lucky, you showed up, and it got really cool here.
It was not unbearably hot.
It was unbearably hot.
Not. So, but anyway, that's how we did it. We did that. So, and we're gonna talk about different parts of our vacation before Rick spirals into politics and gets depressed.
I don't even know what to talk about with politics.
I'm sure
I've been on vacation.
Yeah, we could figure something out. But okay. So we flew to Las Vegas. Do you remember doing that?
I do.
Yeah, we had to drive up. We had to drive up to Chicago first.
And there was a delay.
Like 3 hours.
We did have a delay on the way there. We sat in the plane for a couple hours.
Yeah.
Which is normal now, apparently. Everyone I hear from on the internets they always have delays and everything. On the way back, we didn't have a delay. In fact, we got in early. I think.
Yeah, sometimes you get in early. Sometimes, like I remember when I flew just to Florida, and like I get there early. I always get there kind of exceedingly early. Like I add, not horribly early, but usually like with a half hour to spare before like, I don't know. Yeah, I have a calculation that I make in my mind, as we all do. And, but like sometimes they go, well, since everybody's checked in, we're going to leave early, and you're like, we're going to board early. So that's happened like to me a couple of times. We're going to board early. We're going to board, 20 minutes early. Like, so the boarding starts before, it says on your piece of paper or whatever you've printed out.
What I found interesting is that I don't know when United renovated their what is it called? Wing?
Yeah.
What is that called? Terminal.
Yeah.
But it seems like there were already not that enough seats for everyone to sit and wait for a plane, but somehow, I guess maybe they added more gates. They reduced the size of the seating, so you're just like
United at O'Hare. Yeah, there wasn't enough.
Yeah,
there were no seats.
Yeah, trying to find a place to sit for 3 hours while you're waiting for your flight to be scheduled.
Yeah, or be rescheduled. But anyway, okay, so I don't even remember because everything that we did on the trip was just like, this is the best thing ever, So the first, what did we do? Wait, I can look it up because I had a family. Look, I'm going to look it up on the drive. I didn't redo it, but yeah, go ahead and talk.
Me?
You probably remember, yeah.
Well,
okay.
I don't know. We didn't do anything, right? We flew into Las Vegas and it was late.
We stayed at something
right?
I used, not a sponsor, but Booking.com, not a sponsor, and we stayed at some weird vacation club desert retreat thing, but we stayed off the strip. And the pool was open till 10, so that was really nice. And it was like really hot. And then we went to Omega Mart. That was the first thing we did, I think.
The next day.
Yeah, in Area 15.
Right.
So let's do a review of that. It's an art installation made by Meow Wolf. Right?
Maybe it's an art installation. Maybe it's just the end point of artistic critique of capitalism, where at some point capitalism absorbs that critique, which is what it was. It like
the Barbie movie.
You pay $40 to go into a fake grocery store with strange, absurd products, and then it's got this kind of conspiracy and sort of weird. It's kind of like what would you say? An alternate reality in the back. You go through a refrigerator. And then you're in this alternate reality
of
testing and mind control,
like
and everything like that.
2003 to sort of 2005 graphics, like I don't know.
It's a mix of stuff. It was cool, but it also made me realize that this is when the spectacle. It's that idea of the spectacle absorbing the critique. It's like you can't. Capitalism is just so overwhelming and powerful, it just winds up turning any kind of critique of it into a product, which is what it was. And it was fun. But it was like an anti-Disneyland that has become a capitalist exercise, right? You buy ridiculous products that aren't real, right?
Yeah. Seriously, this is what people are. This is the main critique of the Barbie movie, right? Is that Mattel is selling the weird Barbie now. I can't believe that. They obviously. I read some sort of an article about how they didn't even understand the Barbie movie. Mattel didn't understand it, and that's why they're selling the weird Barbie doll, because the weird Barbie doll is a Barbie doll that somebody has defaced, or contributed their own like ideas to and cut its hair. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Barbie or Oppenheimer, we're going to be talking about fucking and nukes and Barbie today.
And that's the thing, is that maybe the people saying that Mattel doesn't understand the Barbie movie, maybe those people don't understand capitalism.
Maybe they don't understand Mattel, or they don't understand that was the weirdest thing. I was like, what am I like, you know how you wake up too early, like before the thunderclap this morning, and like you just pick up your phone and you just start reading, and I was like, wait, what am I reading? Somebody's saying that since Mattel is selling a weird Barbie, they don't know what, and then you go to the comments and people are like, obviously you don't know what you're talking, this article doesn't know what it's talking about. But then when you're reading an article online on something else that you've read, like some other media, like it wasn't even didn't even say it was an opinion piece when it was. But anyway, all right, back to the Omega Mart thing. Yeah, so you walk in, there's a secret entrance into the back. There's it's like a grocery store, like Rick said, with odd things, and the odd things are already like critiques of like here's this dishwasher soap is going to be, it has this, right? Maybe I should look at some of the photos that I took so I can remember.
The soup was called Camel Soup, and what flavors did it have? They were funny. The cans were funny, and so it's a whole bunch of funny, sort of. Yeah, funny stuff.
Yeah.
But it's that realization that, oh, okay, this form of critique now is just entertainment, and so now it needs to move on. You need to move on to critique the system because it's absorbed the critique. It's the problem the situation has had is like they just kept on trying to sort of do these pranks and do these interjections interfering with the system, and then they realize that the system just absorbs those and turns them into a product, and so you have to kind of you just can't but
it's like Ayn Rand's The Fountainhead. Ayn Rand's The Fountainhead, or any of her books that critique anything that's popular is garbage, and then it gets popular, so it's garbage. It's been happening forever, right? But maybe this meow will maybe what was it called, Omega Mart? Maybe that maybe that's part of what we would have critiqued back in when we were in MFA school, like 2001 or something. It was before Graham, right? 2003. Right, we would have said, well, maybe it's a performance, and all of the people coming through who are paying are part of the performance, and this is part of the art.
I'm not denying that.
Yeah, it's
I'm
all
just
part
saying
of the art.
It's an expensive art experiment that at some point the expensive art experiment just turns into a capitalist enterprise. It's no longer an art experiment. It's a moneymaker.
So what did you think about the art in the back, like when you go through the secret entrance, and then like it really, to me it was like, who is the like all of the, whose artwork did I try to copy when we were doing poster children artwork back in the, like, what was it, Designers Republic? It was kind of like Designers Republic-y almost, just sort of like, the system has got you.
Yeah.
And, it was kind of like that. That's what, like, I felt like I was back in grad school, because I would have made that type of stuff in grad school. In fact, like the poster children, actually, I don't know when this was made either, Omega Mart. Maybe it was made back then. We should have looked that up, or I should have looked that up. But it's, was like, like these evil overlords and the, or scientific experiments are happening and stuff like that. And it reminded me, so the poster children, the little sampler disc that I made, remember? That was like in the 90s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the junior citizen sampler thing, it had like the TV, it was like the TV is everything, and it had channels and stuff like that. And it had like all the little things that I had in the ECD and stuff. It kind of was that same aesthetic. And I was wondering, like, what new aesthetic you could have, like, that didn't look, I don't know how to describe this Designers Republic stuff. Like, I don't know how to describe it for people listening. And I'm not even looking on the page here.
Well,
how would you describe it?
I mean, they did a lot of 90s,
Yeah.
like all the Warp Records stuff and the Aphex Twin stuff. I mean, they were just, Designers Republic was like the hypnosis of the 90s.
Right.
But yeah, no, it's just kind of collage, right? That's, that is an aesthetic now. I mean, you think about, what was it? Like Severance, right? It's like these shows, and then what was it? They cloned Tyrone. There's this aesthetic now where it's this weird sort of blending of 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. So it's nostalgic, and it's nostalgia for nostalgia. And so because everything's looping in on itself, you get this aesthetic that's just kind of timeless or unstuck in time. You'll have an 80s car with a 70s, somebody wearing 70s clothes working on a 90s computer, right? That kind of aesthetic. And I think it has that, and that's a contemporary aesthetic now. It's this kind of collage.
Okay, it was
collage.
that. Yeah. All right, that makes me feel better. Like, because then there were rooms that you'd walk into that really, like, I was kind of like, where's the like, I don't know, where's the, what is that called? Cottage core? Like, where's the, why is it all, it's like all like born of like the Terminator sort of like aesthetic, And I was like, where's the cottage core? Where's, I don't know, anything like that. But there were rooms that were like that too. There was like a filigree lacy type room and like different color. Like there, you're right. It was total collage. It was a lot of collage of a lot of different aesthetics. And it made me uncomfortable. But with you talking about that's a style now, it makes me feel more comfortable.
And maybe we should jump ahead, because I feel like then we should talk about Disneyland, even though that was a few days later. I think it's the same thing. And so really, in a way, it's that same idea where you get transported. And so it's kind of like anti-Disneyland in that, like, Disneyland is this simulation. Well, like Main Street is a simulation of, Walt Disney's childhood, what he thought of as like the ideal turn of the century small Midwestern town, right? Or Midwestern small city, actually, right? He was from Kansas City, right? I can't remember. But and then when you go into those, like into Haunted Mansion or something like that, or the Star Wars area, what's that called? Galaxy's Edge, right?
Yeah.
It's putting you, it's experience. Yeah, it's experience design, and it's designing experience. And this place is just an absurdist experience, and that's great. It's creative. It knocks people out of their consumerist, I guess, focus. Or could, it's like to have something like that when I was a kid, it wouldn't have existed. It would have all been, in 1975, if you went to Las Vegas and they had some kind of experience, well, not Las Vegas, let's say, but you go to a museum, it would be that, Charles and Rames kind of designed pictures and graphic design and images of famous people from history, designed and structured in a room that you'd wander through, and then things with buttons on it, right? And so it has that aspect of it, but it's skewed and weird. And so that kind of critique of the, capitalism, didn't used to be accessible as a commercial product. It was counterculture.
We had
countercultural,
wacky packages. It was like stepping into a wacky package.
So there were always things that squeezed through, like Mad Magazine and wacky packages and things like that. Yeah, in fact, it's all Mad Magazine, right? It's like you could probably trace everything back to that alternate kind of world that was happening through Mad Magazine, and then grew from there. Even like Terry Gilliam, being connected to what's his name, Harvey Kurtzman, right? Is that his name? I can't remember his name, but it's like that it's absurdist critique, right, of the straight world, right? But now it's a actual constructed experience that you pay $40 a person for.
It's like it was so expensive. And the one product that they had in the store that they had one product in the store that was a real product that you could get in the other, in a regular store. It was Liquid Death, which is
and that was So it was like, okay, that's where it all blurs, right? So Liquid Death being a meme product, but then listening to the guy who, founded Liquid Death, I heard an interview with him. I think it was on like The Business or something, but not The Business. What's the daily economics thing that's on NPR. Anyways, he was talking about, but he's like, people are, marketplace. He was, what about the criticism that you're, selling kids $3 cans of water, and it's like, it's better than $3 cans of high fructose corn syrup and caffeine. It was like, at least they're drinking water now.
Yeah.
Which is
Liquid Death is a can of water. If you haven't seen it, like very fancy. It looks like beer, or like looks like heavy metal beer.
Yeah, and it's all about marketing, and that's what he said. It's a lifestyle brand. It's not about the product itself. It's about the sort of social cachet that comes with it. So and that it fit within that context of that. So that's the thing, is that it's like, oh, that was actually kind of neat, where it's like, oh, this is the one product where they've decided that it's aligned with their view of the world, which is apparently critiquing capitalism as a way to make money. But I'm not I'm anti-capitalist, but I also know that you have to live with. I'm still trying to come to terms with that, living within that system, right? And trying to fix it from within, but maybe you can't fix it, and you just have to wait until it eats itself alive, until either Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos has everything, and then we'll work everything out after that. Once the mob murders either of them, and then people realize, oh, we can't just keep murdering billionaires, because then a new billionaire takes over their chunk, their pile of money. The king of the hill. You keep murdering the king of the hill, and it's like, oh, there's just another king of the hill. But I already did the political thing. I didn't think I was going to go political, but yeah, I mean, and so I guess in that respect, it's good that Omega Mart provides that critique. Right.
Yeah.
Makes us question that.
Yeah. So if you live in Las Vegas, or you're going to Las Vegas, make sure, not a sponsor, make sure you stop by Omega Mart and pay $40 to go into it. Is it like you had to pay money just to even go in the store, and then there's like a back door that you can go through, and there's a whole, like a huge like sort of amusement park filled with lights, and no rides. You just walk around and you see all of this like sort of flashing light type things.
Mel and Skip had said there used to be kind of slides and you could go down. It was more like the City Museum in St. Louis, but people kept getting hurt. And in fact, I think Mel said he got hurt.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
There was one ropey thing that I pulled myself up, but they had stairs that led up to that same area. Yeah. It was like not as dangerous as the City Museum anymore. Yeah. And so then after we did that, and then when we got outside, it was hot, I remember. And then I think that was the night that we went to the Strip. And I don't remember, maybe we ate with Mel and Skip. We ate dinner that night. We must have. I think we ate dinner that night.
I wonder if we ate dinner with them when we got there, and then the next day we went to them, because they talked about Omega Mart. We hadn't been there yet, so we must have eaten.
Yeah, we ate there the night that we landed.
We must have.
No,
right?
We couldn't have. Well, because we landed really late.
Well, then what did we do that first day?
I have no idea. Now I don't. It's all a blur. So anyway, we ate with our old manager and his husband, and that was wonderful. We had it was nice catching up. And
it was the beginning of the vegan problems.
What were the vegan problems?
Oh, just eating at a couple of restaurants that didn't have any real food, just had plant-based food, and so then there would be a conflict where it was like, we'll have the chicken fingers, and it's like, they're not real chicken fingers. And then the possibility
real
of
chicken fingers.
Children starving to death because they won't eat a processed fake chicken finger as opposed to a real chicken finger,
right.
Which is equally disturbing, I think.
Well, you can, if you're a vegan, you can, and you have kids, you can always McDonald's them. I think that's, because our kids will eat the chicken fingers from McDonald's anytime. But that vegan place that we went to, not a sponsor, it was called the Real Vegan or something like that, or the Most Vegan. But they had the shrimp that is made out of like some sort of root vegetable, and I'd always wanted to try that, and it was so fantastic. It reminded me exactly of shrimp, and it even had like this orange coloring on the side of it, like this like speckled orange. Oh, I wanted to go back there. Could you tell that I wanted to go back there? That was really, really good. Okay.
I'm looking it up. So
What, the vegan place or the
No,
the
the
root
time.
vegetable?
the timeline.
Oh, okay.
Well, I got
All right.
a picture of an
Always
kids on the airplane, but that says
pictures.
it's July 25th. That's not right.
Everything's wrong. Okay, so then we drove to Los Angeles, and then we hung out, and we stayed at my friend Alex Borstein's house. Not to drop a name, but to drop a name because I'm a huge name dropper. No, that was really, really wonderful.
Oh yeah, we got to LA late
Yeah,
because of the plane delay.
to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Las Vegas. Yeah.
And then
So we stayed in what was it called? Pasadena, right? We stayed in Pasadena. And what did we do that first day? I got to catch up with my old neighbors and stuff and talk to Andrea or Alex a little bit. And I don't know how much to relate about the things we talked about. Like showbiz stuff.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. Not much. There's
Yeah.
not much to talk about right now because everybody's on strike.
Yeah. She's doing a lot. If you follow, you can follow her on Instagram.
We also did mini Grand Prix go-karts. That's the last thing we did before we left Las Vegas.
That's right. You want to talk about that?
What about the Strip? You have no comments about
Oh my God!
the
Yeah,
Strip.
I have strip comments. We figured out where to park for free because you can park on the Strip for free, right? Where did we park? Where did Mel tell us to? Mel and Skip are great guides, but they didn't come with us. But they told us where to
Treasure
park.
Island
Treasure Island
still has free parking.
It was very hard to get there. You had to go around like a couple of times because it's like insane. It's like it was really crazy. And then we walked through the gambling and the slot machine. Like I had been in Las Vegas back when I was a little kid, and I had gambled because you could do that back then. I guess it was a kindler, gentler time. And I remember putting
Where
quarters in.
Children could work in factories.
Yeah.
Could put money in slot machines.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful time.
I would put. I'm like the anti. I have no addiction in my mind or body, or either that or I stop myself. Hi, Joe. Joe is late. Kevin is laughing. So like what I used to do when I would gamble back when I was like 11 or 12 or whatever, I would put like a quarter in. And I think we did this. I think we stopped on tour too. I put like a couple of quarters in. Like I'd spend like $1.25 or something, and then I'd make at one of the quarters I'd make back like $2, and then I'd be like, woo, and then I'd stop. That's it. So this time I was going to do that too and show the kids how to do that, but I could not for the life of me figure out how to use the slot machines. They're giant edifices now, and either you put credit cards in them, like which I wasn't going to do. Like they seem really, really, really scary now, you know.
And yeah, they're just like the things that are all over Illinois and most other states now.
But they're huge
yeah,
and flashing.
That's true. I guess they're even more
terrifying.
extravagant than the ones that are here in bars and stuff.
Oh, yeah, they're huge.
The local Mexican restaurant.
So anyway, so we walked through whatever Treasure Island we walked through, then we got out to the Strip. The one thing I remember about the Strip was it was very, very warm. And there was just people everywhere. You couldn't move. And we were moving. We were trying to get to the Coca-Cola store because Dow wanted to go to the Coca-Cola store. That was our, and then we walked through the Bellagio. I mean, at this point, I'm more into taking pictures of people taking pictures. So that's what I did. Like I enjoyed, like every time you guys would stop, I'd take a picture of you guys taking pictures. And Rick and the boys, Graham had a fancy camera with him, and Dow had a fancy camera too. So everybody would be taking pictures, right? Like looking for the perfect art picture. What did you think?
I mean, we have done that before. It feels more, it's less. Yeah, I guess like it's the same thing with the slot machines and stuff. I'd like to go to that, like Reno. Well, and Reno probably doesn't look like that anymore either. It's just I like the old fashioned looking Las Vegas, but it's all flashy and new, which I don't like. I want it to be.
It's like the new country.
And we just didn't go to that part of it. we didn't go to the seedy, depressing part, I guess. But and so it was fine. It's just like walking at an outdoor mall, right? And I can't believe we didn't stop at the special Las Vegas Taco Bell.
Yeah. Yeah, we were walking and walking. So the Bellagio is one of the places on the Strip, and we were told to go in there and look at the gardens. And like when you go inside, they have this huge, it's like Disneyland gardens, like just with running water, like a huge, like running waterfalls and stuff like that. And it smells, it smells like old Chicago with like gardens in it and water. And just masses of people from everywhere just taking photos and stuff, right?
Yeah, you're just wandering in a herd of people, just like a constant stream of people, and looking at stuff and, buying stuff.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember much else. I just remember then trying to get to the fountains, like to see there was like a fountain show, and then trying to get to the volcano show or whatever.
The volcano. Yeah.
But the end of the whole thing, we got to go to, like, I was like, I really want a milkshake. I don't know. Like, usually I like ice cream on a hot day. That Joe Christman is, so I mean, Joe and Gordon, I mean the old Chicago theme park, yes. I wanted ice cream, but I knew in 100-degree heat in the evening that the ice cream would melt. So I was like, I need to have a milkshake. That started the whole milkshake. Like I needed a milkshake. And then there was this Shake Shack. Remember we went there and they had like vegan stuff. Go on.
Yeah. And then after that we went back and we had to get to the grocery store before it closed and that's what I remember too, is going to the grocery store right before it closed. And there was a guy there. Well, first off, it's on my Instagram. You can see there's a car with like a bunch of carpets strapped to the top of it. And then inside there was a guy, and it's like 5 minutes before closing. And he's at one of the checkouts, and he's got 100 cans of identical soup, right? And the cashier's guy's like asking somebody else, because of course it's like closing time, so nobody knows. Like it's not a regular cashier. Right. It's like the guy who closes up the store, and he's asking the other person who closes up the store, do I have to scan every one of these cans of soup? And I don't know. I don't know if they resolved the problem. God. We left before that problem was resolved. And then the guy parking the car in the entrance to the, right? There was some kind of situation with somebody parking a car in the entrance of the actual store, right? A little mini car, right? And the woman getting out.
Oh, that was terrible. That was so terrible. So this, there was a mini car that the person drove all the way up to the front of the store. It was like right at closing, right? Drove up to the front of the store and parked. And then this guy was walking in kind of with us, and he's like, why don't you just park inside the store? That's what he said to the people who parked the mini car right there. And then the lady got out and she just didn't say anything. And he like humped, he was like angrily, harumphed away. And then I saw the lady had a cane or something, and she, like, it was like a young lady. And she got out, and she got into like a cart in the store, like one of those driving cart things for people who can't walk. And she started driving around, and I was like, what a fucking asshole. Like, I hope this guy saw, the guy who yelled at her. Can you imagine yelling at somebody and then and then finding out that they, that's why she parked there. That's why her assistant parked there. And
that's so basically every nightmare I ever have.
What is that?
That somehow I say something to someone, and then it turns out that
you were wrong.
I was wrong.
Yeah. Good. You should. I'm glad you're thinking about that sort of thing. So, okay. So you remembered that. Okay. And then we woke up the next day, and then we drove to Los Angeles. We stayed in Pasadena. And then, it was late, right? I don't remember much. I mean, I remember I talked to my childhood friends for a long time, but I was really, really tired. We
went to a hot dog and hamburger place that had vegan hot dogs and hamburgers, but they also had real ones. So that worked out better.
Yeah, that was a great place in Pasadena.
Because it's California.
Yeah, wonderful. Like Pasadena is beautiful, that area. And then the next day we went to the asylum, right?
I think so.
Yeah, it's in here. We visited. So apparently, and we verified this. One of my cousins runs the asylum, the movie production house, and let us come on a tour. And then we were there for hours and hours, and we walked around and we saw the shark from Sharknado, and
we were there, and we got a feeling for the constant. So this place makes 3 movies a month, so they're just cranking out these B movies, and they were working on the 10th anniversary remaster of Sharknado, which is going to be in theaters next Tuesday and Wednesday. So that was last week, and so the director is there, and a bunch of other people, and all the they're like 2 special effects guys sitting in cubicles. And they had 200 special effects shots to finish, and then they were in the screening room, like the director's just going through, what about this shot? And then, working on the sound, right? The guy in New Zealand, like on the phone.
On the phone in the middle of the day.
On Zoom, was doing, they were going through tweaks on the soundtrack, the audio levels.
So they'd play like 5 seconds, and the guy would say, okay, stop.
Right. What's that rumbling? What, like, we need more of the rumbling, or we need to hear this crackling noise and everything. And it's just and it was, and then Rose's cousin came in. We were sitting in the screening room, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh crap, I think we're partially responsible if something doesn't get done with Sharknado, I feel like, because he was like, what's going on with that scene? You know, it's like the boss comes in and starts asking questions.
Well, Graham was asking questions.
Okay,
all right. So,
but they were just like, they've got 200 shots to do. They can't fix it like that. You can't program that right now. The special effects guy was just like, these kids who want to program everything, and that's Graham, right? And he's just like, they go clicky, and I just go outside and I film somebody smoking a cigarette, and then I put that on as the bullet going into their head. You know, I comp that together, and then I'm done. You know, I don't have to do this programmatic stuff. And Graham's like, you could do programmatic stuff, and they're in the screening room, and they're like, no, they've got 200 special effects. These guys have no time. You know, and the thing is the guy is sitting there for like an hour and a half talking to Graham about, you know,
it was amazing. Yeah, that was the first.
Oh my God, these guys have got to finish the 10th anniversary remaster of Sharknado, and we're going to be responsible. You know, we're going to go to the theater, which we're going to have to do. We're going to go to the theater and watch it. And there's going to be an announcement that says, it's been canceled. It's been delayed delayed a day because,
some cousins.
The country cousins came in and messed around.
That was so fun that we that's what I was thinking is like we had been to Omega Mart, which the kids were really excited to go to Omega Mart.
Oh yeah.
And we hadn't been to Disney. Nobody wanted to go to Disney. We walked into this place, and the first room we walked into was just 2 guys with 2 computers, like doing special effects, you know, in programs that we knew, like even the kids knew. And that was, to me, like the most interesting. Like that was so like I could have sat there all day, and I think Graham and you and Dow could have too. It was so cool.
And so there were things like, what did I say to David? I was like, well, yeah, I just watched on the Asylum channel. I watched that movie with the lava, and he said, we've got 20 movies with at least 20 movies with lava. It's like it's like so much stuff going on in so many movies, and then it's like. And it's just an office like space with like offices and a little bit of warehouse space, and then they've got some sets set up, and it's like the sets that they have in this warehouse space are what were the sets? Well, first off, the kitchen, right? So the office kitchen, functional kitchen, but also
they transformed it into like a
set
morgue.
Up to look like there's a dentist's lamp. Did you notice that?
Yeah,
the dentist lamp in one corner, and then there's all the doors have like medical stuff on it, and then there's on one wall there's morgue, drawers, and so they use the company kitchen, you know, to shoot scenes for the shows, right? For the movies. It's like you always need a morgue, you know, or
that's
a hospital.
He was like, and this is where
dentist's office.
This is where the scientists come in and say that, you know, oh no, the asteroid's coming to Earth, right? He always had.
There was another room. One of the permanent sets was the room with all the TVs on the walls, right? And it was like, and we had to put this plastic stuff on the wall to make it look a little more interesting, and then we're painting it. But it was just basically like, we went to Best Buy and bought 30 TVs and stuck them on the wall. And then we've got this, they had the little table that kind of looked like the chess table in the Millennium Falcon, right? They had a thing like that. And he's like, and so we've got this table here because there's always some kind of thing where they project, the monster or something. And so you had that. And then we went up to the second floor with the offices, and then in the corner the guy's building a situation room, and he's like, we're building a situation room because there's always a situation, and the president's
always got to be told that the monster's coming.
Sitting at a table, and has to make a decision, and then he's like, and then over in this corner we've got the press conference, so it's like just and then what else was there? They had cleared out part of the warehouse space, and it's like, it was on the second, kind of like a second story, like what would you call it? Like a loft almost, but it had metal flooring, right, with spaces. And he was like, we cleared out all the storage here, and we're going to turn this into a spaceship area, so we can light it from underneath.
Yeah, because there's always grating with lighting underneath for a spaceship. And then all the walls too is like, if you have just a blank wall without texture, it looks like shit. Yeah. But if you have if you just put some texture on the wall. Yeah.
And then there's just an office, and it was like, I think, what was this last week? I think this was an Arctic research station, and it's like there's an office that they just constantly repaint and redecorate. And then we went into the back parking area, not even parking, like the back porch, or what would you call it? The back area.
Yeah, just back area, back
and
lot.
And it's like we've got pieces of an airplane back here because we always need that too. It was just like everything you need to make B movies, right? You need a presidential situation room, you need a morgue, hospital, doctor's office. You need
weapons. They had weapons.
Oh yeah, right? Tons of weapons.
Yeah. It was so nice. Everybody there was so nice. So Joe Christman is asking what they were using. Were they using Lightwave? What was the thing they're putting together?
To do the special effects, the guy was just like, look at this helicopter. There's no reason to use what was he talking about? They're doing a little bit with Unity or something he was talking about, or Unreal.
Maybe After Effects.
But he's just like, oh no, After Effects they use for comping, and it's just like, but this is fine. It works, and we can get it done. We don't need to build everything in Unity. We're just doing. This helicopter looks great, and I think it was Lightwave. So, the special effects guy, who's like he pulled out a picture. Like, look what I found the other day, and it's a picture of him like when he's 20, working on a miniature set for Close Encounters, and then he was the second cameraman on Tron. He was like, and then it was like, was that computer? And he's like, oh no, that was all. Do you know about Tron? I mean, they hand painted all that stuff. It was like, he was like, oh no, we shot it all in black and white. And then the animators painted everything. He was just like, but now he's a special effects guy. But it's just like, and just cranking out. What was he doing? He was working on, when we were in there, he was working on a car. Or a shark falling out of the sky. Yeah. It was a used car dealership that had a car on a
pedestal.
Post.
Yeah,
if
post.
you've ever seen that,
yeah.
Up as a sign, a big car sitting there, and then it's a shot, just a quick shot of a shark falling onto that, and they were fixing it. He was fixing the 10-year-old special effects that he might have worked on, right? And he's putting everything up to 4K, right? They were redoing all their special effects shots to make them look better for this film projection.
Yeah.
That's going to happen next week. And it's just like, the
thrilling.
craziness of it.
Just thrilling.
And yeah, like young Dow there is like, you made a movie called Thor? And the guy's like, yeah. And it's like, I'm like, yeah, nobody owns Thor. Thor is not copyrighted. Thor is 1,000 years old. You can make a movie called Thor. And it was like, why are all these movies called Thor 2012 or something 2012? And I was like, 2012 was a big year. It was like they must have made, in 2012 they must have made so many disaster movies around 2012 or 2011, right?
Oh right, yeah. So that was fun. Just everybody was so nice,
And he knew he had known Larry Cohen. He just kind of in passing said, "Oh yeah, I knew." And then it's like, oh, this all just makes sense. It's just the new version of going from what's his name, from the 60s, and then Roger Corman, and then to Larry Cohen, and then to this Asylum stuff. And it's like, yeah, they're still making, what was he saying? Like, well, we still have a deal to make DVDs for Walmart, but it's really tapering off now because nobody's, has DVD players. But basically all they could make were war movies on DVD exclusively for Walmart. So like you go into Walmart and those are the only films that Walmart will buy from them on DVD, right?
Because old people want to see war movies.
Yeah. So old
like my
people
dad
with DVD players will buy a $10 DVD of some war movie. And so
that's so awesome.
But he said, "Oh, that's disappearing." In international, they can still do DVD sales, but it's all making. I think they make exclusive content for Tubi in addition to their own channel and stuff. It's totally interesting that he can. I mean, yeah, and it's just cranking through. Just you just felt it when you were in there. It was just like. The funniest thing was like walking in, the receptionist was there, right? And then it was like, oh yeah, we're retiling the entranceway here. And then when we left, she was gone and her desk was gone. It was like in the time we were in there, they had actually
moved her out, like
her
completely
into a different room.
Yeah, so they could retile the front.
Things were in constant motion.
Yeah,
it was just like, and that feeling. You looked at the whiteboards and it was like. Numbers like 200, all these different movie names, and it was just obviously how many shots they had to crank through in the next like 3 or 4 weeks to finish this. It was very romantic.
Yeah, that's nice. Oh, and then right at the end, Dow. The thing that Dow was the most interested in though was the lineage, the family lineage. So at the end, we went up into Mr. Latt's like office, and he shares an office, right? Like
the three owners
share offices,
shared office.
But just pulled up the ancestry.com, right, of how I'm related to him. And the reason I know about him is because he posted a picture like on his private Facebook or Instagram with my book, and that's just the sweetest. I just what a lovely guy. So it was really neat to connect with family, and later on we connected with other family. Like I told you guys, you're going to meet the best part of my family, and you did. You got to meet my Aunt Ruthie and my Uncle Alan and Aunt Elaine and stuff. But and I don't know how much, I feel like we should talk a little bit about. We stayed at Alex Borstein's house, and you can follow her on Instagram. You could see she was busy that day. She went to stand with the people in the strike line. So we could have gone with her to the writers' strike, but we didn't. We went to the asylum instead.
Yeah.
Okay. So and then Disney.
Yeah, we talked about Disneyland. I don't know. Is there anything exciting?
I have not been to Galaxy's Edge, so I did have a couple of shivery moments. It was really neat, but I was more. I don't know. I was worried. I was worried about making sure that we got ourselves in, to all the rides and stuff. And the rides were neat, but
we did pretty good. I think we went on 5 rides.
Yeah, the lines were exorbitant. The lines were insane, right?
The worst part was at the end. It was like, okay. We had gone to Pirates of the Caribbean 20 years ago or 15 years ago with Graham when he was a little kid, and it was like, okay, we should do Haunted Mansion, and you looked it up on the app, and it's like 25-minute wait for Haunted Mansion, which was a complete lie. And so we sat there. How long did it take to get into that?
Like an hour and a half.
Cockamamie Haunted Mansion.
It stopped in the middle. We had never been in the Haunted Mansion.
I've been in the Haunted Mansion.
I hadn't.
Yeah, I think we went to it when we were on tour in the 90s. I remember the Haunted Mansion. Oh, no, maybe not. Maybe it's when I was a little kid. Yeah, when I was 10 or 11, we went to Disneyland. That might have been when I went to Haunted Mansion. But yeah, that was bad, where it's like, okay, Haunted Mansion's cheesy and fun, but it's definitely not worth waiting an hour and a half for.
Oh my God, yeah. Oh, so Cody B says Ray Harryhausen. I don't know what that means.
No, I was talking about Roger Corman. But
yeah. Okay, all right, back. So it's just critique of Disney. It's really, really expensive now. I was going to skip it, and then I thought, I thought that they've created this park for us, and it's like being in an all-day movie, and movies are expensive too. And I don't know. It was so insanely expensive, just insanely expensive. But
and I don't think, I'm trying to figure out if it's old people expensive, or it's just like, oh, I remember when you could get into Great America for $5 and that was expensive or something, or $20, and now it's $700 for a family to get in there to Disneyland. And it's like, but I think it has gotten prohibitively expensive compared to, because people take out like loans, right? Like Disney does financing now for people to do vacations there. Like,
I don't.
believe
Maybe
you can finance your vacation, right?
maybe you would want to do like maybe it's much cheaper to do like a week there or something. Like maybe or not much cheaper, but like if you did
The
2
day
or
price,
3 days,
per day,
it's probably like
it's only
know.
$100 per day if you go for 10 days.
yeah,
and pay $10,000.
And then actually, I know we don't ever go to like Broadway or just even like I always wanted to see the Nutcracker, and then I look up the prices and I go, what? We can watch the movie for that, like fuck that. I'm not taking my kids to that. So like this was a huge expense. And the kids, like afterwards, the kids said, I see why you wanted to bring us there. It was definitely an experience. Thank you for doing that. That's what they were. They were like that. They were like,
it was
understand.
Fun.
Yeah.
Space Mountain,
That was fun.
It's terrifying, man. I don't like roller coasters. And then, it's good we went on it.
Yeah, I love roller coasters.
And not, like the Matterhorn is just violent and not, but you're not in the dark. I do appreciate Space Mountain, but every time I go on it, it's like, I am going to die. This is a stupid way to die, getting your head lopped off.
You're not going to get your head. Nobody else is going to get their head lopped off.
Nobody else is going to get their head lopped off.
Nobody else gets. It's been running for 80 years, and no one's died that you know of.
But I did look it up. They do update it, so it's even more crazy and
it's
out
awesome.
of control than it was
I
before.
would have gone on 10 more times. I loved it.
Yeah, it was not good for me.
Okay, and the food wasn't that bad, and it seemed like it wasn't that expensive. Like so you get in the park. It wasn't. It was just.
I think you might be right. I think like the food was always super expensive in Disneyland, but now they've kind of pushed up the price, so it's still super expensive, but now they've increased the price of entrance and parking astronomically so that the food actually seems like
no the food so like the last night that we were in Las Vegas I was like well, let's go out to breakfast tonight, and we were staying in places with food, with kitchens, and we just always made our own breakfast and stuff. At this I was like, let's go to Las Vegas. We'll go to breakfast in Las Vegas, and all the little restaurants had like a $2 sign to $4 signs underneath them, and I looked at some of the plates and like no breakfast plate was under $17, and that is ridiculous.
But if you want to, like, the most expensive per head food was the breakfast at the place in Flagstaff, because I didn't even get food, and we spent more.
Yeah.
I think per head.
Yeah.
Other than probably the fancy dinners. The vegan
the fancy dinner.
Yeah, that probably was more. But
well, and that I always give a huge tip. I need to maybe stop doing that. So I gave a huge tip, and I also got 2 breakfasts that day, sort of, and all the coffee drinks. We all got $5 coffee drinks too.
So if anybody's listening for the first time, this is the podcast that's known for old people talking about how expensive things are. I feel like this is really
sorry.
What's our vacation?
Yeah,
it's
really expensive.
Like,
okay, all right.
Expensive.
Everything was
so
Disney World. What are they thinking? So then,
that's the thing is Disney. That the guy who was in between Bob Iger and Bob Iger running Disney. He was the parks guy, and they were just It was basically it's a money minting machine, those parks, and it's what's kind of keeping the company afloat, I think.
Good. Good, because I need my Star Wars fix.
Yeah.
Okay, so we drove to Flagstaff. We stayed in, also not a sponsor, in the High Country Motor Lodge. It was like in the 80s. It's a beautiful, one of those boutique motels. Like that came up on my Facebook feed because we've been to Marfa, Texas, I think, and stayed in whatever boutique.
And actually what we did was we stayed in Los Angeles until the afternoon and then started driving to Flagstaff and stopped in Joshua Tree.
Yeah, so we got
a friendly, what are they called? Those camp guys. I'm so
the park ranger guy?
Addled. Yeah, park ranger showed us where to go in Joshua Tree. That was great, and we Yeah,
We
went through
drove
Joshua Tree.
I've
Yeah.
always, that was my bucket list to go to Joshua Tree. And I never really thought I would do it. And it's really cool. You drove us through it.
It was amazing. And then we realized
Yeah.
at like, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock,
Yeah.
coming out of Joshua Tree. Oh, no, it was 6 o'clock coming out of Joshua Tree. And then it's like, oh, Flagstaff's still another 6 hours away.
Yeah. That was
So
late.
it was like white knuckling it for the rest of the night into Flagstaff, which is beautiful. I love Flagstaff. It was nice and cool.
Yeah.
You could see the stars. It's an international dark sky city.
The first one, the first international dark sky city. So when we were driving.
So we had noticed, it was like we went to, what did we do? We went to Olive Garden or something ridiculous like that. And we were like in the parking lot, and
the sign
first
is really
off, the
small.
signs were small, and you were saying, oh, it's an ordinance, and the kids were like, what, and then I was like, oh yeah, and then
ordinance means gun.
because the observatory, there is an observatory here, but then looking up, and it's like being able to see the Milky Way in an urban area, an area with street lights and an Olive Garden, right? It was like something's off here, like this is amazing. And then we went to the Lowell Observatory, which is open late until midnight, and they have it super dark. And we got to see a constellation tour and got to look through all sorts of telescopes and see stuff. But you could see the Milky Way with the naked eye. You could see what's the arm called? That other arm of the Milky Way.
You see the arm of the Milky Way that's going the opposite direction of where we are, and then the spiral in. So it's kind of like you could see both of those things. Look, even I could see it with my.
So
my
the
eyes,
only
and
times I've seen that many stars have been when I was in Prince Edward Island. So I was just talking to my mom about this the other day. Is like she woke me and my brother. I must have been 5. I have the photos of Prince Edward Island. I could probably pin down the date if anyone needs to know. I was like 5 or 6, dead asleep. She woke me and my brother up, and we stumbled outside, and it was like I'd never seen so many stars in my life. It was amazing. So that, and then one time our family was up in the uppermost reaches of Minnesota on the border in the middle of nowhere, and we saw that many stars and the Aurora Borealis. So it was amazing. But it's like Flagstaff, Arizona, they've put in the effort, and and that's where you realize it's like, oh, okay, if you actually just spend a little time, and say, hey, let's not, spray light everywhere, in the middle of the night. And it was like, oh my God, this is beautiful.
I wonder what the crime rates are like in Flagstaff, Arizona. We stayed there. We stayed there, though, because it was kind of close to the Grand Canyon. We stayed there as a jumping off point to just go to the Grand Canyon. And that's the one place we spent the least amount of time at, was the Grand Canyon, I think. We spent more time driving there than we spent there, probably. But just like, the Joshua Tree was kind of just as amazing as the Grand Canyon.
Joshua Tree is nice because there weren't a lot of people around.
Yeah.
So you just at the end, like what it was at the Skull Rock or whatever, and then all of a sudden there's just
people.
like, oh crap, there are a bunch of people here. But other than that, it was like some, pushy Italians. I got mad at the Italian tourists who were like standing in front of the that vista. We drove all the way up to that thing, and they're just standing there.
They were just there.
Yelling at each other in Italian.
Yeah.
And then they left, and then we got to look at the vista, but they were just like, they were like acting like Americans.
Yeah,
I was upset. I was like, you're fucking from Europe. Why are you acting like Americans?
Maybe they were from America.
Yeah, maybe they were Americans pretending.
Dan says he lives in Phoenix, a few hours away, but loves going up to Flagstaff. The skies are absolutely amazing at night.
Amazing.
Really, really, really nice. I wish it was 112 in Phoenix or in Flagstaff.
No,
but
it was beautiful. It was perfect.
It was cold. It was like in the 80s. I didn't like it.
It was habitable human temperature.
And then so we went to the Grand Canyon. We looked at that, and then. And we were gonna watch Oppenheimer. That's what I forgot to say. We watched Oppenheimer. We forced Alex Borstein to take us to see Oppenheimer. She wanted to see that she'd rather had seen that instead of Barbie because she had worked at Mattel or something like that.
Oh, and I thought it was also she wanted to watch Barbie with her daughter.
That too, yeah. But so spoiler alert. We're done with our vacation. We came back. We visited my wonderful aunts and uncle and found out that my aunt sometimes watches, or all the time watches, Radio Zero. So if Aunt Ruthie, if you're watching this, hello. But okay, what were we gonna talk a little bit about Oppenheimer?
Yeah, so the boys and I saw it for a second time. You saw it for the first time.
Wait, I'll say one more thing about what'd you think of my Aunt Ruthie? Was she awesome?
I've met your Aunt Ruthie.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I've known you a long time.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, your Aunt Ruthie's great. It's been 20 years since I last saw her, but she was the same. She looked good. And
yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Okay. All right. No family items on Radio Zero. So if you haven't seen Oppenheimer yet, here's a spoiler alert. Lots of fucking.
I wouldn't say that. It's a 3-hour movie.
There was too much fucking. Even that's what Dow said. He was like, well, he even used the F word.
He's 14 though, and uncomfortable with that.
So I'm 58 and uncomfortable with that. Why am I watching somebody having sex when it's like about science and war?
Well, because his life was a complete weird mess, and he was having an affair with a woman who was a socialist, right? I mean, that's the thing, is that like the old school, kind of idea about security is that you don't give people security clearances who have the potential for being blackmailed or are getting into trouble.
It was a political statement.
Totally. No, I'm not saying it's a political statement. He's totally like a mess socially, kind of stuff, and doing all sorts of really risky things. So there's that element of risk in his character, right?
Yeah, I really need to see it again.
I don't know if you need to see it again.
No, I do.
I think
not on a big screen, but
that's what I said. I said before I even saw the movie. It's like he had a. I remember reading about the what was it, the FBI tracking him and everything like that, and he'd take off and go to San Francisco to hang out with that woman, and it's just like, oh my God, Los Alamos. The whole point of it was to build that thing and keep everyone there, right? And then
and he would go off to
see this woman.
Hey, I really need to see it again.
It's like geez, and that idea too is that he got a pass. I think that's part of it, is he got a pass for this initially because he was valuable, right? There was something about it. I'm not sure the movie did a great job of explaining why he was the best person for the job. I think it explained that Colonel Groves thought he was the best person for the job. Like, they said that, and he said that, but I don't necessarily understand why that happened, right? And within the context of the movie, I understand why it happened
in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's so. I think the problems you have are not with the amount; it's the way it was done.
Yeah. All of a sudden, like it was really fast. like all the that cut to them having sex, and it wasn't even like, it was just like this. I don't know. I there's a critique. There's a, that Dairy King has been, I know there's this ongoing critique, and jokes about how what the hell, what's his name?
Christopher Nolan.
Thank you. Christopher Nolan maybe doesn't understand what sex is or something like that.
I think what it is that it's a problematic area to portray on film, especially now. Right. And so at least now in Hollywood, they have intimacy coordinators.
Right.
Whereas like you find out that, they didn't have that before. Everyone was just kind of improvising and saying, okay, everyone off the set, it's only going to be the camera operator and the director and the actors. And then other people, it's like, oh no, everyone and his brothers, 200 people are going to be here while this is going on, and it's like, I don't think anyone, it's things are changing in the world culturally, and so it's a landmine, and so Christopher Nolan avoided that as much as he could. But you'd have to say, that was in my head before I saw the movie, which was like he had a really crazy personal life, and to mix it with the making of the bomb and then trying to figure out how he holds all those things in his head together, and how does a person, deal with all of that.
Jesus Christ, I'm going to read that book because I read the making of the atomic bomb. And I read all about like Richard Feynman. I read the Genius book and stuff like that. And I just don't have the Oppenheimer piece in my head at all.
Prometheus stuff.
Yeah. I should read that, and then I come back to it and see the fucking again.
And I've seen a lot of stuff about how, and I think I mentioned it. Maybe I didn't because you hadn't seen it yet. But my brother and I had talked about this. Is like I felt like the scene when after the bombing of Hiroshima, and he's with the crowd, and they kind of twist the knife about how complicated that is, right? About being sort of that transition. What I think of as war logic, the transition from war logic to peace logic, right? And like how to deal with the fact that you're responsible for hundreds of thousands of people dying, right? And possibly responsible for the future death of the planet, right? And dealing with all of that while also rejoicing that you won and you achieved something, right? And it does. There's a moment where it's like really intense, and I felt really upset. That was the one part in the movie where I felt upset, was where it like the people, like showing the people celebrating and yelling, and then all of a sudden there's somebody crying, and then he steps on a charred body, that kind of thing. But there's not enough of it. Like I felt like that's an opportunity to really, really go even darker. And its question is, why would you go darker? It's like that'd be too dark. And it's like, what the hell? I mean,
I feel like I've seen that. I've seen that in other movies.
Yeah. And
right.
But that doesn't matter. It's like, this is an opportunity, especially if you have, hundreds of thousands or millions of people watching this, is to take that opportunity to really, really go to a dark place, because it is a very dark thing, right? And I don't think he went far enough. And then people are saying, they didn't show enough about the impact on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But the thing is that it is very self-contained. And so that's the other thing is realizing that we live in a world now where you would have video, right? If somebody blows off an atomic bomb, or just a bomb somewhere, right? You're going to see that, a minute after it happens, or you're going to see it live. Whereas, in that era, still, it was like, and they kind of talk about that, right? Is that he didn't get the phone call about it being successful until after Truman announced it, right? He didn't know what was going on, and the footage of what happened, none of that would have been shown, publicly for a couple of weeks, if not for decades, right? And so it's that idea that they were isolated from that impact. They knew about it, and everybody talked about it, but the reality of it was, or that instantaneous nature. It's kind of like, I think conceptually he was trying to work within that, in the film. It's like, it's only from it's from two perspectives, and neither of those perspectives were in Japan, in 1945. And so it's all experienced through this very specific lens, or two lenses, right?
Now I wonder if it's contained by the book also, like just didn't go outside. Now I feel like I need to read more. And so what's your connection with and also Cody B says Terminator 2. But yes, exactly.
That wasn't good.
But I would think Christopher Nolan didn't want to delve into that. That seems whatever for him. I was going to mention something else too. Like I'm very conscious of being in the movie theater with somebody who's in the movies and in the TV, and like I was just like I wanted to make sure, like I felt really like what is, like I'm more watching the movie through their eyes than my eyes. So I was just like, oh my God, is this making her feel bad? Is she okay? Stuff like that. That was so I couldn't really enjoy it as much. What's your 6 degrees of separation with Oppenheimer?
Well, after we'd seen the film we stopped by my mom's house the first time when the boys and I saw it. My mom said, "Oh yeah, I met Edward Teller," and I remember there's a picture of my dad with Edward Teller. So my dad.
Your dad had to drive him around, right?
Yeah. It was like I can't remember what his job at the time was, assistant director or something. But yeah, Edward Teller showed up, and he was his guide for the day or something. So we got photos of my dad with Edward Teller. And he worked at basically the lab that started from the experiment under the stands in Chicago. So that was it would have been interesting to see what my dad thought about this movie. He was okay. Like, I remember when China Syndrome came out, he didn't talk too much about it, but he was like, I mean, it's kind of a little sensationalist, I think. He said it in an understated way,
Your dad was very understated, just a really
tactful.
tactful guy with kind of longish hair, like for a scientist.
Yeah, I don't know about that,
like hair to like not hippie hair, but just just a little longer than you'd think.
That's just 70s hair.
But also very left wing.
Yeah, but
right?
I remember when we saw China Syndrome, I just loved it because it's a great, great acting. Or I don't know how old I was then, 14.
Well, wait, can we see that again?
Yeah, I'd watch it again. I bet it's not. I worry that it'll be, my problem is that I had that moment with Jack Lemmon. Jack Lemmon and I have a problem now. What was it?
The Shakespeare movie?
The Shakespeare movie Hamlet, where it was just like Charlton Heston, who I'm not a Charlton Heston fan, is in Kenneth Branagh's Hamlet is just fucking amazing, and then Jack Lemmon is just like, wow.
What's the
Why
guy
did
from
Kenneth Branagh let Jack Lemmon take a shit on his movie? It's like, this is a beautiful film, and then all of a sudden Jack Lemmon wanders in and ruins it. Like, literally almost ruins the whole movie. So
what was he acting badly or something?
Jack Lemmon doesn't belong in a Shakespeare film, and Charlton Heston is playing an actor, in that.
That's like
scene.
Laura Dern in the Star Wars movie for me. Yeah. I'm just like, why is Laura Dern there? Why is she? How did she get? Does she?
Laura Dern's a good actor.
No, of course she's a good actor.
And yeah, Jack Lemmon's a good actor too.
Yeah,
but devastating.
Don't put her in my Star Wars.
Oh yeah, what is it called? Day of the Tiger? Save the Tiger. Jeez, if you want to get depressed, I probably watched Save the Tiger around that time too, which was mentally scarring. That's a movie.
What is it? Another nuke movie?
No, it's about a guy. It's about a guy whose business is about to go under, and then he basically, it's basically like a guy who just makes all these compromises in his life just to try to keep his business that's failing alive, and it's like one of those 70s character study. Someone basically, just losing everything and losing their moral compass. It's just terrible.
Cody's B is saying, check out the 3 Mile Island documentary. TMI disaster happened like a week after China Syndrome came out. Yeah, 3 Mile Island. Right. I remember that. All right. Well, that was that. Is that a wrap up of our vacation, the Oppenheimer movie? We went back to Las Vegas. It was 112 degrees, and we had a lovely dinner with my relatives, and we saw my Uncle Alan's amazing orchard in the backyard. Mm-hmm. He's got can you imagine having lemon trees and like grapefruit trees? Can you imagine having that in your backyard? And apricot trees?
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
And can I talk about the film reference?
Sure.
No. Maybe.
What film reference are you talking about?
He had the Dirty Harry gun.
Oh right, yeah. I don't care. You can talk. He had guns.
I've never seen. Well, I'm trying to think if I've actually seen a gun in person.
Yeah.
But
I think my dad had a gun. Like he had his gun from the army or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Possibly,
so did you see that gun?
I don't know if I've seen that gun.
Oh, but that was the first gun you'd ever seen in person, like a real gun.
I'm trying to think. I may not have.
Yeah. Where would we have ever seen a gun? Well, you've seen a gun on a policeman.
Yeah, but I'm
Yeah.
talking like just in a room.
Just a gun in a
Yeah,
room.
But
Yeah.
it was what is it, Magnum 45?
Are you asking me?
I can't
It was a
remember. I'm
black
trying to remember.
gun.
It's a movie reference.
Yeah,
It's
no
the
idea.
Dirty Harry gun.
No idea. But I think the kids were slightly impressed. Kids
Yeah.
were impressed. So we had, it was really funny. I'm trying to remember because my sisters sent a picture of her like in some nice, like heavenly place, and then like of her vacation. Like she was in Canada, like in mountains or something, and we were like, I showed a picture of like you guys like drag racing, like in the like it was like like such different adventures, but they were climbing mountains and stuff. I don't know if I'd want to do that. I'd worry I would fall.
Yeah, I mean, the desert walking was dangerous enough, and no one died. And I just love walking into a national park and having signs that say "Don't die today."
Yeah. Where was that? Was that the Joshua tree? Yeah, don't die today.
And then
did you take a picture
what
of
was
it?
What was the other one? Don't kill your pets.
Yeah,
just like,
they had signs up everywhere saying "Don't die today."
Yeah.
Yeah, because once you're in the park, supposedly you didn't have that you didn't have cell coverage in the park. Like there's no cell coverage in the park, so you could, But there were a lot of people. But
we didn't go off the roads, and we were in.
Yeah.
We didn't go anywhere where there wouldn't have been someone driving by after a while.
I gotta say, and I
although that trip to the Grand Canyon, we took the scenic route,
and
there was
we
nobody
didn't
on
see
that road
anybody, yeah.
on like on a Monday or a Sunday.
Yeah.
It's like I guess everyone takes the larger highway and
or
then
they
drives
got
up,
earlier. Yeah,
It
they
was
take
weird.
Yeah,
It was like, wow, nobody's on this road.
there were people on it on the way back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like that part. Like I love the desert. Is there something wrong with me? I love it. When I walked outside at some point, I was like I stopped us like on the way back to Las Vegas at that because I had to pee, but I wanted to feel what 112 felt like, and it was like it felt like a giant hot hug. It felt wonderful. I love
Like
that feeling.
the hug someone gives you as you're dying.
Hey, if
right?
that's what I'm
or
fine with that.
like a person's,
It was a dry
like
heat.
in a movie where they squeeze someone to death because it's better for them to die than to keep living. That's what it felt like. That kind of hug.
I love the way I love the way it felt, and I love those big brown mountains when you're just driving through and there's nothing. They're just these giant mountains with no green on them at all. I love that.
All right, Oppenheimer.
Does he like that too? No, he's high country Santa Fe bullshit. I don't like high country stuff. Fuck that. I want the low country.
All I see is death when I look out there. Coming back home and there's green. And
everything is so green here. Yeah,
I went into the backyard and we've got a dumb rabbit now, apparently. A rabbit that has never encountered any animal other than itself and chipmunks, because I was walking into the backyard and it just kept standing there and staring at me. Yeah.
Hello.
It didn't move. I could have reached out and grabbed it. Stupid rabbit. So that makes me feel good because it means that even though I don't eat meat, if things got bad,
you could kill that rabbit
I
and
could
eat
probably grab that rabbit
Wonderful.
and eat it. Whereas in the desert, I'd be dead in a day.
Yeah,
I'd be
I guess.
Desiccated husk.
Yeah, but you'd still be vegan.
It's true. Let's eat a little.
Do you remember
chew
when
on a Joshua tree?
We were gone for like 4 weeks when we went to Tibet that one time, and I remember when we came back, I was like, oh my God, everything is so green. I was so like, it was green. Like it was nice, but also it feels very wet here too.
It's the humidity. It is true. I'm.
Yeah.
Well, we were in more air conditioning when we were out
That's
there, but
true.
it's. I mean, it's a stupid joke, kind of, but it's not the heat; it's the humidity. It really is.
Yeah, David Collier is writing here. It says you'd end up with a U2 album dropped on your device if you had cell service.
That's right.
That's funny. I'm gonna do the laughing emoji there. All right. Well, it's an hour and 20 minutes of vacation.
Yes.
You got anything else to say?
No.
Okay. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Have a good couple of weeks.